Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&As, so let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, first question. Hey Jason, I remember you saying that most of your clients have an upper back weakness. I'm pretty sure upper back is my weakness too. What do you recommend? Just add a lot of row volume? Do you recommend a specific row variations and or certain technique / grip during rows to emphasize the upper back? Yes, absolutely. When I say all of them, most of them do have it. Usually some of them we can just fix it with rows, right? Just more rowing volume. And just pin lay rows. I don't have them do any other form of rowing other than pin lay rows. Now in some cases, if I wanted to do a large amount of deadlift volume, we'd do some chest supported rows too, right? Or exclusively. Or we could have someone do tons of chin-ups and pull-ups. That's an option. People could do what I do. Not everyone wants to come in and try to do 100 chin-ups a day. So what do I do with the clients? It depends on how glaring their weakness is and how much work capacity they have. If I have a guy who comes to me who deadlifts 275 or 300 pounds, okay, and his upper back is weak, we just do more rowing volume. 5 sets of 10 on rows twice a week will start catching him back up, okay? Just a normal pin lay row. Nothing magical, nothing special. More extreme case, I had a guy who could deadlift 405 for 5 reps. 6 reps actually, right? He could squat 315 for reps. His pressing was pretty bad, mediocre in comparison. Not terrible, but mediocre in comparison. But he had a real good base on the other stuff. His upper back was a glaring weakness, and he already had a decent work capacity built up, right? For him, we went the other approach. We went more extreme. I went with a lot of rowing volume. And in his case, not only did we do strict pin lays, we did a wider grip, right? Closer out towards the rings, similar to your bench press grip instead of straight up and down. Because normal pin lay row, you're what? You're going to be 90 degrees from the floor. Your arms are going to hang perfectly straight down when you bend over. We went wider for him, and I made him pull to the upper chest to emphasize the upper back. And he's on an upper-lower split. And so what did I do to him? I started with something like 3 sets of 10, and we built it until he did 5 sets of 10 of this variation 4 days a week on both his upper body day and his lower body day. And I had him doing 20 sets of 10 of this every week for a short phase. It was for a short phase. I didn't have him do it for 2 months straight. We did it for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then I started reeling the volume back in. I pulled one of those 4 days out, because that's a lot of volume, right? So we rotate that stuff around. Now this guy is going on to hit bench PRs and overhead press PRs and stuff like that, right? He's moving back along. But it was a weakness for him. And that's how we did it in a very short period of time for someone who already had a strength base and a work capacity. Because, I mean, let's be honest here, guys. If you're squatting over 300 and you're deadlifting over 400, both for reps, you already have a base built. So we're going to have to be a little more specialized, and you can also handle a lot more work. Someone who's weaker and starting out, who just has an upper back weakness, we can just add in more row volume. 10 good sets of rows, pin lay rows every week will oftentimes get them caught back up, right? So it's going to depend on where you're at in your training, and this is how I approach it with different clients, depending upon how imbalanced they are and what their strength and work capacity looks like. So yeah, we do special stuff with all of it. All right, next question. How come so many guys can bench press a lot, but I barely see anyone at my gym overhead pressing, not counting the seated version? Good question. Tradition, myths, everything else. Number one, bench press is America's favorite exercise. Tons of guys bench press. It's considered a rite of manhood, right? The bench press. Now, I've seen a few people out there jokingly make jokes. They're going to poke fun at us here in America. Is that, well, Americans are lazy and it's the one exercise you can do while laying on your back. So that is a joke usually thrown at Americans by lifters in other places. And the fact of the matter is it's the most popular exercise for men, right? Considered a manly thing to do. Therefore, people are going to focus on it. And it happens to build a lot of the mirror muscles. Front delts, pecs, triceps, right? Show muscles, it builds them big time. So of course people are going to do it. Now, why aren't they doing the overhead press? Well, number one, there have been lots of misinformation and coaches and trainers out there who say, well, it can cause shoulder impingement, it can hurt your shoulders. But it's actually the seated versions that are more likely to cause that, or the Smith machine versions. Actually have a higher chance of causing that than actually standing. And it's because people do them on high incline benches or in a fixed plane, right, to where you can't move your torso. And that's usually where it becomes riskier. That and excessive elbow flare, right? Ironically, some of the same stuff guys do with the dumbbells. And that's why they can't go all the way down with the dumbbells. They turn it into a partial. Like, oh, it'll hurt shoulders if you go lower. Well, yeah, because you're doing a really crappy bar path. So it turned it into a partial. But again, there's all these myths about it. There's myths about it that cause this, so therefore people don't do a lot of overhead pressing, and if they do some sort of seated partial. The other reason people are doing all these seated versions of it, if they do it at all, is the tradition of the bro split. Why would you do a standing exercise that's not on your leg day? I'm doing this for my shoulder day, bro. I want to isolate the shoulders. And if I want to isolate a muscle, bro, I don't want to risk accidentally stimulating something else and messing up my split. We have a leg day for a reason. See, we have a chest day for a reason. Same guys will say, I don't care about my upper chest. What are you talking about chest, upper chest? When I do overhead pressing, I overhead press for my shoulders. It's the block of Legos mentality of the body, the idea that you can separate the body into all these units magically and isolate them and remove the other muscles, right? It's this fantasy concept that comes out of the bodybuilding world. And they can get away with that because if it doesn't work, you can just up the dose, bro. Just pull the plunger back a little further on the syringe. Problem solved, right? Add an extra pill. Push right past that plateau from your crappy training ideas. And that works for them. And clearly it works, but they still get massive inject, right? They get massive inject. They must know what they're doing. And if they don't, they can just up the dose and pretend like they do and still get massive inject. Because at least they're training and putting stress on the muscles while using copious amounts of magical substances. So, they get away with it. But it's that mentality, that culture has caused that. It's exactly what it is. And you're not going to change that for now, right? You're not going to change that. Things like CrossFit have helped change it, but that's a different culture. And they're at odds with each other, right? They're at odds with each other. They make fun of each other. Bodybuilding types make fun of CrossFit, and CrossFit types make fun of bodybuilding. So at least that's changing because of certain endeavors like that becoming more popular. It is changing the attitudes towards stuff like overhead pressing. But it is what it is. It's just tradition. All right, next question. There have been times I've done a weight reset just to end up stalling at the same point I originally stalled at. How many times do you recommend going through the weight reset process after stalling as a beginner/intermediate before you move on to a new program, assuming diet and sleep are good? Also, I don't want to get microplates. Not a problem on the microplates, not the end of the world. All right, assuming diet and sleep and rest times between sets are good. That's your first 3 points. That resolves 90% of this, okay? That is our go-to fix. So before anyone hears me give other answers, this assumes your diet and sleep are on point. Guys who fail and are in a calorie deficit, well, gee, that's why. Why are you expecting to gain muscle quickly when you're in a calorie deficit? If you expect that, you have lost your mind. If you only sleep 5 hours a night and then you wonder why you're not gaining muscle rapidly, you have lost your mind. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Because what do the weight increases represent? Let's say you're doing a 5-rep type novice program. You're getting stronger on your 5-rep sets is because you're gaining muscle. It's not because you got stronger. So if your lifestyle doesn't facilitate muscle growth, then you didn't gain muscle. Therefore, your 5x5 or 3x5 is not going to go up 20 pounds because you didn't gain enough muscle for it to go up. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Now, if you're stalling at a certain point with that, it's time to adjust your training. Because what does this tell us? Why is it not going up? Yes, we know that the progressive overload is the driver of hypertrophy and all of that, sure. But if you're not going up and all of your big lifts have stalled and you can't increase your squats or your benches, particularly after the resets, that means you're not gaining muscle. And if you're not gaining muscle, it's because you're no longer doing enough work to gain muscle at a rate that's fast enough for the weights to go up 5 pounds. You might be gaining muscle, but it's astronomically slow at this point. Okay, that's when it's time to change programs. If you've done three weight resets on, say, the bench press and the squat, two of the most muscle mass dependent lifts. Some of these other lifts are not as muscle mass dependent. Okay, they leverage in neuromuscular efficiency and stuff matter. If the bench press and the squat, bench press is completely dependent upon upper body muscle mass. The squat is heavily dependent on full body, but largely dependent on lower body muscle mass. If they have stalled 3 times and you know you're eating enough and you know you're sleeping enough to gain muscle, you are not training enough. Your training volume per session isn't high enough. Either the quality of your reps or the quality of your total volume isn't high enough to continue to stimulate quick muscle growth. It's time to go on a different program. You've either outgrown your noob gains or you are just not training enough, and therefore you need a new program. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.